Again with another short video, this time about PWA-studio. More precisely, how to install PWA-studio utilizing Github-actions. The process is pretty straightforward, even though you can have more detailed information on this repo, which is the repo of the actions. So it's pretty easy. You have to described here. You have to create a GitHub repo and create this directory GitHub workflows. And you can also just clone this repo, which is a privileged repo. And in the workflow directory, you place main.yml. And we are going to see what is in it. So this is the part of the job which will install a fresh PWA-studio and push it into this repo. This is disabled. This is when if you want to install as well the Magento backend, which is mandatory if you want your PWA to work correctly. But if you only want to bootstrap a new project, a new PWA project, without installing the Magento backend, you can just use this job and this action and forget about this. So we are going, the no push is when you're doing some pet test and you don't want to copy the source in your GitHub repo. So let's commit this. I haven't made any change. Another thing that is mandatory, because I receive a lot of messages and I see people using the version 1 of the checkout action, which is required because we are using the git process in this action to push the source code in your directories. But in version 1 of this action, that was not possible. So you have to use v2 or upper versions if you want our action to work correctly. Also, you can, here we are going to use the version magento-action 3.12. You can also use master to have the later version of the source code. But if you want to avoid any headache, just use the 3.12 version. So we are going to commit the change and see what's going to happen. That's real git. It's kind of slow today. So the commit is done and hopefully the action started. So what you are going to see is this repo will be populated with a new directory called PWA-studio, which will contain the version of the latest version of Magento PWA-studio project. The internet is very slow today, I don't know why. So, yeah, here I have a vanilla version of the PWA-studio. So this is what your the initial, the not modified PWA-studio look like. I think it's a pretty neat job. It's open source project, and I believe it's the way forward for Magento, because I believe normally Luma will be deprecated in the next release, or is already deprecated. So this is the new front-end project. I don't know how to call it, the new front-end team, if you like, of Magento, the PWA version. So let's check out our action. It's still running. Also, like I told you, some people are wondering how to set up a Magento project nowadays, because PWA-studio is another totally different project. At least that's how some people view it. What we are doing here at MadIT is that for now, in our project, we have the PWA-studio and the Magento project together. And this action can handle that. The action can handle Magento build and deploy and PWA build and deploy at the same time. But if you want to separate the two repositories, you also can do that. In here, we will just have the PWA-studio, and if you use another job other than the installation, like the build, it will build your PWA-studio. Same goes for the deployed part for the zero downtime deployment. So our action finish its course. So normally we are going to quickly check what has been done. So as you can see, on the GitHub-action computer machine, Node has been installed, the latest version. If you read here, you will see that you can also specify the Node version you like. Today the default is the 16, Node 16 is installed, and the PWA source code is pulled and pushed to your repository. So that's all this action does. So if we go back to the repository, as you can see, now you have your PWA-studio directory with the source code plus this file, the AMP file, which is mandatory. I strongly advise that you have this in your project, because if you use our action to make some build and deploy and you haven't specified the environment, the build will fail, the yarn build will fail. And you can basically, in this state, you can pull this repository and build it and run it. You can do yarn build and yarn watch to run a local version, because it is using the default backend of Magento, and I believe the sandbox, the Braintree sandbox as well is the default one. Now, if you want to, once you have configured this file with your maybe let's say your staging environment variable or your dev environment variables, or even your production, you have to commit the changes, even though we forced the commit this first time, but you have to commit it in order to for our action to handle correctly the build and deploy, if you intend to use the action to do that. So that's it for this video. I believe I did not Forget anything, I believe. Yeah, that's it. I hope it will be helpful to some people because we are receiving some questions. That's it. Have a great day. Bye.